Dune Prophecy is currently streaming right now with the first episode out, and I gotta say, although it didn't deliver as much as we hope it would, we still gotta give it a chance. After all, it is still the first episode, and it isn't really perfectly canon to Frank Herbert's story, but it is an offshoot derived from a lot from his son Brian Herbert's works. But be what it may be, it did give us a juicy prophetic vision of a gigantic sandworm in Arrakis devouring a Bene Gesserit or a sisterhood training school. And this vision has raised quite a lot of eyebrows on how big a sandworm can really get, and whether the one seen in the vision is the biggest ever sandworm to ever exist on the Dune planet. So let's take a brief look at the sandworm sizes as described in the books and then estimate the size of this leviathan. Let's get to it. So Frank Herbert describes sandworms as gigantic terrestrial worms or annelids with anatomical features similar to that of a lamprey. They also have an array of crystalline teeth which are used primarily for grinding rocks and filtering out sand. During his first encounter with a sandworm in Dune, Paul Atreides said that its mouth was some 80 meters in diameter, with crystal teeth with curved shapes of crysknives glinting through the rim. So this entails that the first of these creatures that Paul sees had a mouth that was 3 basketball courts in diameter. Naturally, adult sandworms grow to be hundreds of meters in length, with the majority of them being smaller relatively speaking, around a couple of 100 meters, to quite a few very mature specimens that were observed to be over 400 meters or 1300 feet long, and having a 40 meters or 130 feet wide body and mouth. However, when Paul becomes a sand rider, he did so by summoning a worm that appeared to be around half a league or 1.5 miles or 2.4 kilometers or more in length. This worm here was said to be the grandfather of the desert, the Shai-Hulud, with his exact words from the book being, "It appeared to be more than half a league long, and the rise of the sand wave at its cresting head was like an approach of a mountain." Now, what about the size of the gigantic sandworm seen in the vision of the Bene Gesserit's Mother Superior? Seems hard to guess, right? Not really. First of all, we have to find out a reference point for scaling up and extrapolation, and here, in the sequence, we get one. The building being devoured. No, not the entire building as a whole, as we don't really know its size, but if we zoom close enough we can see what seems to be a section showing 2 windows of 2 building floors, one on top of the other. Given the nature of the training school and the location, it is safe to assume that, at a minimum, the floor height would be around 3 meters or 10 feet high, which is in the lower end, but let's accept this for estimation's sake. Then if we use this as a size reference for scale, we find out that the building was around 110 meters or 360 feet tall. Now using the same scale, size, and extrapolating from one end to the other of the sandworm's mouth, we get a total length of approximately 300 meters or close to 1,000 feet wide. And when we take a look at it from another angle, we find the same size, which is 300 meters. And although from the shot of it about to destroy the 2 towers, we might first find the sandworm to be a bit smaller, we are then given clarity in the next scene where the towers were in fact far away from the training school and that they were very tall. So here we have it. The sandworm has a mouth of 300 meters or 1,000 feet. Now what about its total body length? This we did not see, nor have we ever seen the full scale of a sandworm in live action. Therefore we must go to the books to find out their dimension. So the Dune book describes the mature sandworm specimens to be around 400 meters long, with a mouth or a body width that is 40 meters wide. This means that the ratio or the width to length of an adult sandworm's body is 1:10. This means that the first worm that Paul saw, which he described to have a mouth that is 80 meters wide, has a body length of around 800 meters by their given dimensions. Then the sandworm that Paul wrote the grandfather of the desert, which was half a league or in modern metrics 1.5 miles or 2.4 kilometers long, would have a mouth that was 240 meters wide. With this logic, we can infer that the sandworm in the prophetic vision of the Mother Superior is the biggest to be ever seen. Its mouth that is 300 meters wide would entail a body length that is 3,000 meters or 3 kilometers or 1.8 miles long. Now this is truly gigantic, but does it really exist? So HBO's Dune Prophecy shows the founder of the Sisterhood, an organization that will eventually become the Bene Gesserit. Here, the Mother Superior Rakella in her final moments on her deathbed, had a chilling prophecy. She foresees an apocalyptic event called the terrestrial that could spell doom for the Sisterhood. One striking sequence shows a particular massive sandworm charging towards the Sisterhood school, then devouring it whole. But strange enough, the school is actually supposed to be based on a planet called Wallach 9, and instead here appears to be in the middle of the scorching dunes of the Arrakis desert. So obviously the school isn't going to be magically relocated to Arrakis anytime soon. So it is safe to say that this isn't meant to be taken literally, but metaphorically. Here the message is loud and clear that the Sisterhood's greatest threat in the future is tied to the planet Arrakis and entwined with the Sandworms, eventually with the Kwisatz Haderach, and then with the Golden Path. So before we end this video, there's another sequence of another Sandworm, and this is seen in a hologram where the Emperor watches Desmond Hart being swallowed by one of these. Here the Sandworm seems to have a mouth that is only close to 30 to 40 meters wide, and thus would have a body length of between 300 to 400 meters long. So this one is just a regular specimen. And with that we end this video. Now that's the size of the biggest Sandworm to ever grace the screens, prophetic or not. So if you like this video, then watch this other one too, and support us by liking and subscribing. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, fam.